But we don't show prep, so he had no idea.
I just barely make it in.
I'm sure you can tell, but we don't show.
I mean, let's put the cards down on the table here.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy, ha ha. It's a 6-ring Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vision, DJ break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. Real Portland live from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the 6-ring champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards, a hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6-ring Kane show. The 6 Rings Kane show. You know.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the 6 Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
There he is. There it is. There is everybody. Welcome back to the 6 Rings Kane Show. On this beautiful Monday evening here, joined by the entire crew of winners, as we like to say, the entire crew of winners here. As the Canes dominate the Florida Gators this past weekend by a score of 26-7. Obviously, a lot to cover here on that big time win. But I think there is some questions to be answered as well for a lot of Kings fans who are asking some interesting questions about the play and whatnot. But as we get to that, before we get to it, actually, let's go ahead and give a shout out to our sponsor. It's 305-800-PAIN. After an accident, every minute counts. With one call to 305-800-PAIN. You get immediate access to trusted doctors and attorneys who guide you step by step. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, they are a brand you can trust. Much like 5 Reasons Canes, 305-800-PAIN is focused on the local community of Miami-Dade County and South Florida. They'll handle all your accident needs, including car accidents, personal injuries, and related legal matters. So after an accident, be sure to call 305-800-PAIN. The number is the brand, 305-800-PAIN. Después de un accidente, cada minuto cuenta. Con una llamada 305-800-PAIN, ustedes pueden obtener acceso inmediatamente a doctores y abogados para ayudar con todo el proceso. Con una clasificación del A+ del Better Business Bureau, pueden confiar en ellos. 305-800-PAIN tienen mucho en común con 5 Reasons Canes. Están enfocados en la comunidad local de Miami-Dade County y en South Florida. Ellos pueden ayudar con todo después de un accidente, incluyendo accidente de carro, lesiones personales y otras cosas legales relacionadas. Entonces, después de un accidente, llama 305-800-PAIN. El número es el nombre de la marca, 305-800-PAIN. All right, fellas. Big win for the Miami Hurricanes this weekend as they took on, hey, look, it's a tough SEC opponent in the Florida Gators. Obviously, they have their deficiencies specifically on the offensive side of the football. But a tough team on the defensive side of the football. As we have seen even in their tough losses to USF, and LSU in the last couple of weeks. They came in here. It's a rivalry game. You kind of throw out everything. You got a lot of local talent that knows each other. They're going to go after it. They're going to come. They're going to come hard at us. Miami just sat there and did exactly what they were supposed to do as the better team. Right? They understood the assignment. They understood it was going to be a tough football game. But at the end of the game, they executed and they won in typical Mario Cristobal fashion. You dominate on defense, you dominate the trenches, and you run the hell out of the football and you run it well. Before we get into stats and anything else, Mitch, your overall thoughts on the game against the Florida Gators this weekend?
Yeah, the Canes, they dominated an undermatched opponent there. It was pretty clearly just better in the trenches, and it translated from the opening drive. Just took it down, scored, and the game wasn't really in doubt. I know Florida had some plays in the third quarter into the fourth where it was technically a one-score game. You got to understand, to get to that point, a touchdown was stolen from Miami, just flat out, just taken away. Ridiculous call. And then Florida repeatedly was converting fourth downs, and your luck's just going to run out. Like, they were never able to really move the ball. They went 3 of 3 on their first 3 fourth downs, which is how they scored and kind of got the ball moving a little bit. And then law of averages is going to catch up with you. Like, they didn't convert third down the whole game. So
right, that's what I was going to say. Right, they went 0 for 13, so they had to convert a couple of those.
Yeah, and that's how they were. And so they were basically like playing with house money. And there's no way that was going to sustain. So I was never really worried about it, even though I know the score was probably closer and the game was being played. But there was a lot of flukes that happened to get to that point. And yeah, the Canes were clearly the better team, dominated. On rewatch, the domination was even more clear than during the game. It was frankly not really a competitive game from from a football standpoint. The score was closer for much of the game, but eventually it caught up with the way the rest of the game was played. It's just a dominating performance over an overmatched opponent, and a program that is collapsing, and that's what you want your team to do.
I think you're right in the sense of like rewatching the game, you see how much more the Canes dominate, because you're leading a lot of times with emotion during the game, right? You're excited about the game, you're watching it, you see them make one little thing, you play off of the sounds around you and stuff like that. And so when it was 13-7, first of all, like you mentioned, it should have been 20-0 when the referees admitted it. That could change and swing the way that the game is being played on the other side of football, right? Because then now you're putting more pressure on them having to march down the field quicker, throw the ball, things like that. And we all know what DJ Lagway does when he throws the ball past the line of scrimmage. With that being said, 0 of 13 Blue on third down. That's something that I haven't seen in a very long time or ever, to be honest with you. Not that I can remember, I guess, to be honest with you. I know they went 3 of 6 of fourth downs, but that tells you one of two things. It tells you, one, that they're really aggressive, really feisty, and they were just going for it, and they're forgetting about the percentages, or they're down big, or they're getting their ass kicked, and they're being put in these fourth down situations where they have to convert in order to try to get some points on the board because they are losing. So, which is obviously the latter part here for this team, for this game. You saw some signs of Miami turning it up and saying, all right, now it's time to dominate and go and get this W and just go after it. Miami won in typical, as I mentioned, Mario Cristobal fashion. Blue, what was your take on the outcome of this game, and just from quarter to quarter, what were your thoughts? You're muted, Blue.
Huh? Am I muted? I'm all right now. Great job, Corey Heatherman. I think that, when you went out and got a defensive coordinator, we knew from the beginning he was an intense guy, but you never know about the X's and O's and being able to adjust and make game management decisions until you're in a game. And I thought he did extremely well. He's put people in the right places. Mohamed Toure was an absolute beast, led in tackles by a lot. Bain showed why he's highly regarded and he'll be a top draft pick, definitely. Secondary really never had to get tested because the front seven was taking care of business and there was a lot of short passes. And they never got going with the running game. So from a defensive standpoint, Miami just dominated and never let them really, as Vish said, mount any type of anything. Even when it was 13-7, you kind of knew that Florida would have to get a fluky play to score because they weren't doing it. I think they had one first down in the first half. So, yeah, they but offensively, I mean, they did what they had to do. Randy gets a very good defense, very good defense. From a personnel standpoint, and I've checked them all, Miami won't come close to facing a defense personnel-wise. Miami was doing things against USF and Notre Dame that they couldn't do against Florida because there was too much speed. Things closed quick. In the post-game thing, that's Beck was saying the same thing. He goes, things that were open against like Notre Dame and USF and then last week weren't open because they were making adjustments. And but that's something good to know that no matter who they play the rest of the way, they'll be able to do a lot more. And kudos to the running game. They didn't really need Lyles. They didn't really need to have an outside game because they ran tackle to tackle for 253 yards. So offensive line, I don't know what the hell Brockemeyer was thinking 3 times. In any other close game, that kills you. But in that game, you just kind of laugh it off and say, what the hell, Special teams-wise, they did what they had to do. They had some good punts. Davis finally had a kick return. I kind of held my breath because Vernell Brown, when he gets his hands on the ball, you never know what's going to happen. He's not Chris Johnson. He ain't running anybody's back. So, yeah, complete win. Satisfying win. When you play SEC, a pretty good, not great, but a good SEC team, that's what happens. So now you take this week and look at the good and the bad from the first 4 weeks and then move on and have your next game. It'll be a 1-loss FSU team. They'll lose this week at Virginia.
Ooh.
Guarantee it. Guarantee.
Oh, all right. Well,
I've already put my money on it.
I just want to thank Larry Bluestein for making my job of what to include in the clip that I do after the show very easy.
I love it.
That is definitely going in there, no doubts.
Yes, I love it.
Talked to a Virginia player this afternoon that I know really well, and he says if FSU thinks they're going to come in here and just waltz all over us to get a showdown with Miami unbeaten, they're nuts.
I like it.
We'll see.
Hey, hats off to
Friday night.
Tough,
it's never easy.
That's a tough team over there, man. UVA always is a tough team. They
have a good
play
offense.
Hard.
They have a good offense.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Their defense is not great.
That'll get my FSU fans all boiling up. Like they got a choice. They were 2-10 last year. They can't be dictating anything to anybody. So
all right, tell me about it.
Be happy where you're at.
Oh my God. I know we're gonna get into FSU hard next week, but still, yeah, we'll talk about them a little bit. But before we get to that, DJ, your thoughts, because this was a game that was played.
Tight ends, DJ.
This was a game that was played the way DJ likes games to be played, right? In the trenches.
Yeah.
The big uglies, the tight ends blocking.
Yeah.
The tight ends. Can't look. Elijah Lofton, Mario Cristobal said it, right? Because he's finally getting healthy. I know Ballman looked like a deer in the headlights in a couple of plays, but look, the offense was, and a lot of people are complaining, the play calling. No. I mean, the offense is predicated on what they were able to do, and Florida took a lot of things away, and Miami decided, well, we're going to be exactly what we thought we were going to be, and we're going to go and shove it up your you-know-what, and just run the football all day and dominate the offensive line.
Yeah.
Dominate both lines, actually, for the offense and the defense. So your thoughts on the whole game? I know from an emotional standpoint, I was kind of pissed that Brockermeyer too blew those 3 infractions, but all around it was an all around dominating performance by Miami. What's your take on how this team did?
That wasn't sexy football, right? That wasn't sexy football that we're used to seeing every week. That was physicality. That was, we're going to run it down your throat and try to stop us. That was, I'm just going to say it. That was Big Ten football. I felt like I was watching a Big Ten football game right there. And, even with I'm not going to say lack of points, but even though it wasn't necessarily a finesse game, the running backs were still able to get involved. The passing game was a little disjointed at times, but as much as the passing game was disjointed, these running backs show that we could rely on them both in the running and passing game. Shamar Brown had another great game. Fletcher continues to do what he does, and not every game is going to be a high scoring, fast paced, finesse type of game. And on a day when Carson Beck didn't have his best game, Miami was able to show the balance in the offense that Vish and I were screaming about last year. Just run the football, run the football. They did that, and they're showing that they could win in multiple ways and not just rely on one quarterback like they did last year.
Yeah, I mean, not only that, I think that a lot of fans, and just to understand, I know a lot of people sometimes, and Vish, we heard it a little bit on Saturday in the stadium, how people were calling for, oh man, I wish we had, the offense that we had last year. And then I'm thinking to myself, a lot of that offense was predicated on the fact that our defense sucked, right? And we had to throw the ball around. We had to be creative. We had to go crazy. Now, obviously, this wasn't Beck's greatest game, right? He obviously struggled a little bit with the web bar, whatever the case was. Florida did some good things in the secondary that, mixed up some things for him. But, we had a couple of drop passes, right? C.J. Daniels dropped one up the middle. There was a couple of those. There was a couple opportunities where I'm sure he wanted back a couple of throws that he made, especially obviously the interception. We won't mention who got the interception because we don't want to mention that. But just to kind of put it into perspective, I think at the end of the day, Dawson realized, hey, look, we're going to have some issues potentially throwing the ball down the field. If they can't stop us running the football, why the hell are we going to do anything else? We ran the ball 46 times for, what'd you say, Blue, for like 250 yards? Yeah. I mean, that's how you win football games, especially down at the end of the game where after you score that touchdown, you miss a 2-point conversion, you get the ball back, and teams of old, Vish, and I'll throw it to you really quick before we keep moving. Teams of old would have run the ball 3 times in a cloud of dust and punted it away, right? This team marched it down the field again, ran the ball up their throats, threw a couple of nice little dink and dunks. Obviously, the one to Shamar Brown earlier in the game was really nice as well. But you saw them move the ball methodically down the field again, running the football, taking time out the clock, and then they scored another touchdown just as an exclamation point. That's the difference between this team, how good this football program is right now, as opposed to some other teams where they might have the lead and then they're going to screw it up by three runs in a cloud of dust and they're done, and now the team marches down the field and scores another touchdown. Fish. That's a true mark, I think, of how special this football team is right now.
Yeah, and I get this point, except my point is the fluky plays already happened to get Florida into a position to be down 6 with the ball. Like, how often do you see a clear 40-yard touchdown run? Just, oops, I blew my whistle. Like, I mean, that's the fluky play. It already happened, and you're still up. And the center, for, as Blue said, forgetting how to snap repeatedly, and Mario said in the post-game press conference, so I rewatched it. It did kill multiple drives in the first half, and you're like, how come they're only up 13-0? There was one play where I think we got 7 yards on first down, and then multiple penalties in a row, and it was ended up being 2nd and 15. And it's like, and then into Florida's, partially it's Florida's skill, partially it's the way they play. They'll sit in that too high safety, and you have to drive the ball on them. And the Canes are able to do that. That's why they were scoring. But to do that, you also have to play mistake-free. So those penalties kill drives too. But yeah, in the end, all of that, it doesn't matter when you're that much better than the opponent. I should say the other thing that really helped I think the big drive of the game was when it was 13-7, the Canes went 80 yards in 7.5 minutes right up Florida's ass and just ended the game right there. A big help there is the kicking game, because I don't know what Carter Davis was doing at FAU, but that man is grooving every kick down the middle. And the fact that he easily, in bad conditions, was a 53-yarder right down the middle, would have been good from 60, means that the Canes knew when they got the ball, we just got to kind of cross midfield, maybe get to the 35, and the game's over. Because you get up 16-7, the game is over. There's no way Florida was scoring twice. And so, which is why I was surprised Billy Napier didn't go for 2, but then again, he's an idiot, so why would he have when it was 13 to do you figure he would have gone for 2 in case the Canes kicked a field goal? But anyway, so to me, that makes it easier to run the ball too, because you don't necessarily need the explosive play. You don't need to get inside the 10. You really just need to get inside the 40, and Carter Davis would probably make the kick. So that comfort blanket helps your offense a lot. It opens up the playbook. You can kind of do a lot of.
It's a comfort blanket we didn't know we were going to have this year, honestly. Right?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, we went from the first game. I mean, but full credit to Mario, because, we were certainly skeptical. He saw something there. And you know what? He put his money where his mouth is, too, because against Notre Dame, he set up with game-winning field goal. He's like, this guy's going to nail it. And he did. And now he's just, that kick he made from deep was just like, I'm not even nervous anymore.
This is going also, right?
Yeah. It's confidence and skill, but there was nothing from his FAU tenure that led us to believe he'd be potentially the best kicker in the country. He's definitely got the leg for it. If he's splitting the uprights, then what the hell? Yeah. Right? So, who knew? But that just makes the game easier for your offense. Yeah. I think that was probably what was a little frustrating in the first half when, punting inside UF's territory, I believe 3 times, couple of touchbacks, and then one they downed. At that point, you're 5 yards from a field goal. So it's kind of frustrating they didn't score on any of those. But in the end, that's what you work stuff out against bad teams like this. So when you play better teams, you don't make the same mistakes. But it was fine. And I would just say this. I understand, people people have been snake bit over the years. This team is on another level than those Miami teams that we've had in the past, really in the last 20 years. And I'm telling you from experience, I am someone that did not enjoy that 2001 championship team as much as I should have, because if you go back in the Wayback Machine, 2000, lost like the second game of the season to Washington, won out, the BCS computer screwed. Miami finished ranked second because didn't get to play in the championship game. So it almost felt like by the time you get to that Rose Bowl and won so many games in a row, it felt like we should have already won the championship. My piece of advice to all of you, just enjoy this. You don't get teams this good that often, especially with parity in college football now. It's never going to be like the 80s where you're basically in the championship game every year like the Canes were back then. When these types of teams show up, just enjoy it. Don't lose your mind over a 19-point win. Over a team you were favored. Over a team you were favored by 7.5. Yep. Over, enjoy that. You don't get these opportunities that much. And wherever the season goes, this team is amazing to watch. They're fun to watch. They kill people. They play like hurricanes. And so just enjoy it. And just the constant complaining and negativity is idiotic at this point. Yeah. I'm sorry, they're not the fucking 85 Bears. I'm sorry. What the hell do you want out of a college football team?
Yep. Completely agree.
I think the problem is that, they're never satisfied. And unfortunately, you got to. That was a perfect example.
Exactly, Ryan. The QB didn't play his best game. The ref stole points. Lost the turnover battle, won by 19. Come on, this is why you deal with they didn't deal the ball against Georgia Tech. So you get to this moment, right?
100%, man. You gotta enjoy it. You gotta. They might come few and far in between. They might come, back to back. You never know, and so you have to really, really enjoy it. Yeah, no kidding. Daniel, good kicking game. Before we move on, really quick, Blue, give me your 2 cents, your 1 minute 2 cents on this 1-2 combo that we have. I know we talked about it a little bit on your show, and I called them Thunder and Thunder as opposed to Thunder and Lightning. But it looks like Shamar's got a little bit of speed as he broke that fake touchdown. According to the referees, at this point, it was obviously a touchdown, but they made a stupid call and called him down. But your thoughts really quick on the Marty Brown, Mark Fletcher combo, and look, hopefully we get a healthy Jordan Lyle back soon, and he can just be the icing on the cake on that running back stable.
They run the ball hard. They wear you down as the game goes on. Your opposing linebackers, especially Florida, who didn't have their top linebackers in the game, which really helped. If they had Banks in there, certainly he may have figured out how to at least slow those trains down. But they got momentum. They got past the line of scrimmage, and once they got past that first plane of defenders, they were encountering safeties, and you don't want 225, 227-pound backs with any types of speed coming at you, and that's what happened. They just wore them down. I think that touchdown that Vish was alluding to with Brown pretty much carrying the weight and then leaping over at the end and giving Miami that bigger lead kind of capped off. That was the game-winning drive, really, because it took everything out of Florida. You could see their body language afterwards because they didn't have any answer for any of those runners. And the very fact that Beck didn't have to pass. See, he was comfortable enough, especially after that touchdown. But those two backs are as good as you're going to get from a power game and from a game that's going to eat up clock because they're going to get first downs. They're getting 4.5 yards a carry. And to me, I wasn't real good in math, but 4 yard carry is going to get your first downs. So, but the main thing about them two is they wear you down. See, if you get a little scat back, he's not going to wear you down. He'll test you because you're going to have to chase him, but he's not going to physically wear you down. But they do, and that's against anybody they play. That's going to be important. So
Sorry,
I was, the first question was asked in the press conference after the game, and it was, "Where's Lyle? Where's Trader?" And Mario goes,
"Yeah, again, it's a nitpicking game, and obviously we're seeing a little bit of that in the chat right now as far as nitpicking on just trying to, which I totally disagree with some of the stuff that's being said.
Yeah,
but,
I mean,
complaining about the refs is okay. You can do
all that. Complain about the refs. I will say this: some of this mythologizing. Look, the 2001 team was the greatest team ever. However, Boston College was inside the 10 when on that. Everyone remembers the replay. There was 12-7. No, ended up winning by 11 because again they were driving inside the 10 with 30 seconds left and. Ball gets hit up in the air. Walters picks it off, and Edry takes it and runs it down.
Forgot about that one, of course, right?
Yeah. There's that one. Virginia Tech beat Virginia Tech by 2 because they dropped a 2-point conversion in the end zone.
Right.
That Joaquin said we need to dominate, and we ain't doing it.
That was FSU.
Oh, that was FSU,
which they did dominate. But no, I mean that team had issues a couple of times. Yeah. Where you're like, no,
every team
you could say, I mean, the only team we've had that did not at least play 1 or 2 close games was the 86 team. Then they blew the championship game and didn't even win the championship. Right. Every other team, there's tight games. It is what it is. So I don't know. Florida never led, and they never really appeared to be in the game, to be honest, other than on the scoreboard.
A little bit of nitpicking to me. And as far as the whole JoJo thing, I mean, look, I'm a little concerned about him not being where he needs to be, per se. I don't know what the issue is. I won't speculate on it right now because we
don't necessarily have to even speculate because, I mean, Mario did. We can say what he said at least, which again, he said, he and Lyle were healthy, but they're not. They got to earn their spot back. And, I think Lyle's probably closer to doing that than Trader is right now. But yeah, they gotta look. You're not just gonna bench people that have been playing well. So you gotta. He flatly called. He called Joe Jones. He's got to practice better if he wants to get on the field, and that's the culture. That's the culture you want in your program. You don't want them.
We're the number 2 team in the country, and I mean,
yeah.
And people are still complaining.
Well, I mean, look, there's stuff that they can do better because I don't think
Sure.
Florida's that good of a football team. So I get that, but what I don't think is fair is saying, well, last year they lost to Syracuse, therefore we're going to nitpick this team. Like it's not the same team.
Right.
And,
Hey,
and
Syracuse
so
beat somebody good this week.
Yeah, and then
lost a quarterback.
Although Clemson's not good.
Yeah. Talking about not good.
Clemson's not good.
By the way, I think one of the reasons the Canes, obviously the domination of Florida, and I think that was a time where everyone watched the game. So as much as our family, why was it closer? Everyone knew the game was not competitive. So I think that helped the Canes a lot because it was not a contest, especially if they'd watched LSU play Florida the previous week. In that game, Florida actually looked, obviously you can't say except for 5 interceptions, but they looked like they were better than LSU.
Right.
Obviously, when you throw 5 interceptions, you lose. And then I think the next weekend, seeing Miami line up against that same team just be clearly better, I think helped. And then also the fact that Clemson sucks, and that's why LSU was ranked so high for beating them in the first game of the year. I think those two things is what helped Miami kind of jump up to number 2.
You think Dabo regrets not being more adaptive to the transfer portal now? Jesus.
I mean, it's hard, right? It's hard because when you have so much success, you think you know better. It's hard to adapt. I mean, look, he's still there.
Trevor Lawrence and Travis Etienne were 80% of that success.
Right. I mean, look, we know the dirty side of college sports, right? Especially in the past. Now that you can legally pay players, some of the teams that were kind of getting away with the competitive advantage lost it.
Right.
And I'll give Dabo credit for this. He stayed there because half of these guys just quit when they knew they weren't going to be able to pay players under the table and actually had to outwork their competition. So, I mean, he's still trying to do it. A lot of these guys are like, I'm retired. This spate of coaches retiring is because they can't compete on a level playing field, and they know, oh, crap. Now I have to actually, because it's easy to convince them when you're the only ones paying them.
Now some of them are complaining about NIL, ironically enough.
Yeah, because they lost a competitive advantage. You think people were voluntarily like, let's go live in Tuscaloosa?
Yep. Nope.
Not many. Not many.
Not many. Yeah.
I would say so. DJ and what do you think? Since we're talking about it now a little bit, what do you think Miami does need to work on as we head into the bye week now? Obviously, we're trying to get a little healthier also, but a bye week and then potentially a top 10 matchup against FSU. What do you think are some of the things that we do need to work on?
It's really tough to nitpick.
Why not? Everybody else is. So go ahead.
Come on now.
Well, I don't want to whine either, like everybody else. But I will say, I'd love to see a little bit more out of the pass rush, and I'd love to see a little bit less in terms of chunk plays. Now, obviously, the stalwart Florida passing offense wasn't exactly a good barometer when talking about giving up chunk plays, but in previous games this season, the defense, gave up some chunk plays. I know the USF game, for instance, was one where they kind of gave up some plays down the field. And so I guess my only two would be, kind of avoid those downfield mental lapses and the chunk plays, when they're driving towards the red zone. But other than that, I think the offense is going to be okay. I don't consider, what happened Saturday, even though the offense struggled, I don't think we're going to see that, much more this season. And I really have no complaints on that side of the football. And it's really hard to complain about anything that they're doing right now. I mean, they're the number 2 team in the country, for crying out loud.
Yeah, and from a pass rush perspective, Kermit's right. 11 pressures, and 4 sacks, which is nice. I will say that back end of his statement is true. They do need to clean up a little bit their discipline with regards to their penalties.
But the snapping thing was just bizarre.
It was so weird, because
even Herbie and Fowler were like, "What the hell is this?" The dude was at Alabama, then TCU, and all of a sudden he can't snap the ball.
I don't think we're not going to see that again, right? We're not going to see Brockenmeyer do that again. And not only that, it was 6 penalties for 30 yards. It's not like we had 180 yards in penalties, right? So if you take away those 3, that's 15 yards right there, because they're each are 5 yards. You're talking about 3 penalties for 15 yards. Not bad, right? You cleaned it up a little bit. But those could be drive killers and potentially, be tough for other games where some of the offenses are going to be better, right? So they'll be able to maybe score points or drive the ball down the field a little bit, even though our defense is obviously loaded. You're still going to get into some games where you're gonna have to clean that up from an offensive standpoint. Vish, I'm not concerned about anything really, because it just shows you can win both ways, right? Even Carson understood.
Well, I do think to Blue's point, from a talent perspective, this might be the best defensive team the Canes face. But I do think the way they chose to line up, I think other teams will emulate, force the Canes to methodically move the ball. And that's why the penalties, it wasn't the number. Like I said, the number wasn't 6 for 30. That's not great, but it's not like, oh my God, I can't believe you made 6 penalties. It was that they all killed drives. They were substantial penalties because of the way Florida was defending, forcing you to use all 3 downs to get a first down, not giving up the big plays. And the corollary to that, though, is, and I think Mr. Overdose raises a good point here, like no one's really tried to just like, we're going to load up on the run and make you throw down the field and beat us that way. And
we can throw the ball a little bit, right? We showed it to Josh Moore and CJ Daniels a little bit.
Yeah, but not against good competition. So if a better team does that, can the Canes go vertical? Because JoJo was supposed to be that guy. So I mean, it's not a problem because they haven't had to. Again, throwing deep the way UF was playing 2 high safeties would have just been basically an interception punt.
Yeah.
So there was no reason to do that. I'm glad he didn't try to do that. Again, one thing I really like about the way this team plays is they're just going to take what they need to win the game, and didn't necessarily do that last year. I felt last year there was a need to make sure Cam got his attempts and got his throws in. There's none of that this year. And also there
deep a lot last year either. It was a lot of broken down plays.
Well, it was a lot of here's the ball, Cam, you figure it out. And again, part of that is also what you touched on earlier, Jazz, is that when the defense was that bad, it's not easy to be patient on a long drive when you know the defense might give it up in 2 plays and you got to do it all over again. So it's, and then you have Cam Ward and that ends up adding up. So what I'll say to Mr. Rose, we haven't seen really a lot of downfield throwing, certainly not against Notre Dame or Florida, which are the 2 kind of better teams the Canes have played, but doesn't mean they can't do it. But at some point, someone is going to say, you know what, we're going to load up in the box and make you throw over the top. And
I think we did it against. I think the Notre Dame, we did it once. Remember on that pitch and go deep route that CJ Daniels ran? I think it was CJ Daniels or Keelan Marion, one of those 2 that we ran, and they called the pass interference.
Yeah, the pass interference on the last drive. Yeah. So, but you haven't really had to connect on any of that yet. So we'll see. I'm assuming at some point someone will come into a game saying, let's take away the running game and make Carson Beck throw down the field. And frankly, there's a high probability we put up 60 then, because I think our receivers are fat. Like Marion and Malachi Toney are big play threats for sure.
Right.
So I think they will be able to run past most defensive backs if you're not going to give safety help and make big plays. So I'm actually not worried about it, but it is something they're going to, at some point, someone's going to force you to do that. They're not just going to sit there and take it like Florida did, basically, which is like, just going to get pushed around. So, and that's a aspect we haven't seen yet.
Blue, are you happy with the play calling? You happy with what the offense did?
Yeah, like you know what, he all along since the beginning, I think they're given they're taking what's given to them, and that's the smart way to do it rather than having to force plays in there. And listen. When you get a guy as veteran as Beck, and he in the post game, plus I like to listen to what they say in the post game because it's immediate, and whatever they're thinking, happened off of the emotion of the game, and he was saying, things, sometimes if things aren't there, you can't force them in there, especially against good teams, or you'd be turning the ball over, and I think that by Miami being able to run the ball, especially with that offensive line, I don't think there's going to be a lot of teams. I just saw someone's going to stack the box at 9. You're not doing that against Miami because they'll start hitting you right. They'll start using their tight ends. Bauman might turn around one time when the ball's in his area. Heaven knows. Jesus. That's one thing I think they got to get on the same page. They definitely look like he was open 3 times. One would have probably been a touchdown. That one that I think the first one he threw it to him. So, and, he got the tight ends involved, DJ, you have to. And that's another thing that will combat anybody putting 9 men in the box. If you start getting your tight ends involved, then you're going to have to pull your linebackers back sooner or later.
Yep.
So, and Miami's running game is I don't see anybody stopping that 1-2 back when they need to. Teams are just going to have to understand those two guys are going to be in the NFL one day, because they're that type of power backs, what's the name? Char Brown there can catch, made a beautiful catch in the open. That wasn't a good pass behind the back, a little circus done. And then he made there was a reason why Miami went and got him, just like last year with Damian Martinez. I mean, those are guys that have played, at a high level. And even though, it's a different environment, the stage isn't too big for them. And that's important because sometimes you get, the stage is bigger than where people come from and they're not used to it. And, so like I said, from now on, you're going to be playing on a high stage. This game, Louisville game, all these games are going to be challenging. So, but I think Miami's kind of figured it out. Like Mario Cristobal said, we don't take any days off. And Beck said, we won't take this next week off. Because
he said it's not a bye week, it's a work week.
Yeah,
so
it's work
yeah.
week. So
no, and I think the team is adopted that. I think
they ever have.
Yeah, no, and I think they are getting back to that old mentality the older players, the Canes of the past talked about, which is practice hard so the games are fun. You can tell they're having fun out there. I mean, Inez Cooper had a blast during that game, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was.
And in the post game also. We'll leave that to one side though. We don't want to get a copyright strike from YouTube, but he had some fun out there. So I think they're getting back to that where they're working, and that's where I think we mentioned JoJo and to a lesser extent Jordan Lyle. They got to practice really well to get on the field because, as you mentioned, that running back punch, not a lot of carries for Jordan Lyle at this point, so he's going to have to really earn them. He does bring something different to the table. Like that breakaway speed is there that Fletcher and Marty Brown don't really have. So he does have an opportunity to earn carries, but he's going to have to practice hard, and so will JoJo because, again, I think one of the ways that Mario attacked the portal, there's a lot. Everyone that they brought in, there was like a purpose for that player. Like you mentioned, Marty Brown Blue. He's played in big games. It was on the FCS level, but he's won championships. And he's someone you can trust that's physical, tough runner at the end of games. And they put him in there and he finished the Gators off. And I think that same thing with the receivers, right? We haven't seen a lot of Tony Johnson, but he's a veteran receiver, played at Cincinnati in the Big 12, caught a lot of balls there. JoJo's got to earn his way back up the depth chart. Like Frank, those are guys those are essentially, for lack of a better, professional wide receivers in front of you. And you got to practice as hard as them and outwork them if you're going to get back on the field. So, that's the culture you want, though. And I think I think Mario's done a really good job of restoring that. Shout out to Lord
Higginson.
Yep.
What
the dono.
We are a defensive team reminiscent of our championship run in the 80s, 90s, and 01. Love wants a all game mentality. Receivers like O-line block. I get what he's trying to say. Yeah. It's
yeah. No, we actually we haven't mentioned it this week. We've been mentioned on the past shows. Just watch the receivers. They are. It's
like an extra set of O-linemen. It's so crazy.
I forget the guy at UF State that wanted to fight Malachi Tony because he kept putting him in the ground. And he actually took a swing at him, and he took a swing at him, and the refs let it go because.
Well, yeah.
And even on that physical mauler mentality, I think we talked about it last week too. The running backs seem to want to invite contact. Like they don't mind contact at all. They'll try to run through you. So it's nice to see that translate as well.
I feel like Fletcher looks for it, right? Like
right, exactly. Yeah,
which
does.
By the way, I don't necessarily think he was doing last year. I think he's healthier now.
Yeah.
So I think that's playing a lot into it because I don't
that's not a knock on Marty Brown's a bowling ball.
Yeah, absolutely.
These are it's unbelievable.
No, and you can see by the fourth quarter they didn't want to tackle him anymore.
Yep, they wore him down.
I mean, nobody was touching. Nobody actually. I don't even know if anybody touched him on the one that they stopped. That they stopped for progress. I don't know if anybody.
No, he ran into. I mean, they might have. If it was one hand touch, I think they might have gotten him down. Two hand, no.
Yeah.
Really, he was
No,
hiding behind Markel
he
Bell.
There he goes. Ran into the back of the offensive line and then spun around out of it. And yeah, he was never even stationary, let alone held up by Florida's players. It was absurdly bad call. Which, by the way, shout out to ESPN for never just admitting we got screwed on a call. Yeah. I think he would like that whistle back if he could have it. What are you talking about? It was a horrible call. Like, you gotta like be politically correct about how he blew the call. Like
typical ESPN SEC fashion.
He'd like that whistle back. You think?
No kidding. Dirty King says, anytime run the ball and play good defense, you can beat anybody. I love it. I agree. I love it. Molly Cakes. From Lord Bakington again, by the way, thanks to Dono again. Fletcher looks like a smaller Derrick Henry. Yeah, I mean, I see flashes of it. Derrick Henry's 250 pounds, but aside from that, I see flashes of it. Marty, he's a cannonball. He's not a bowling ball, he's a cannonball.
Actually,
I agree with that.
Fair enough.
This is a comment from earlier I'd like to get people's thoughts on.
It's a caveat.
Do you think we see more play action?
Since they threw in Lofton as a monster, DJ, you want to see some more play action or what? I mean,
yeah, why not? Because you're already forcing the defense to respect the running game. I mean, and you have a tremendous athlete in Lofton, and you can keep the defense off balance with the play action, and especially with the accuracy and arm that Beck has. Why not? I mean, you're finally getting to the point where your running game can be feared and your passing game can be feared, not just one or the other. So that opens up a lot more things for you to be able to do offensively. And get the tight end involved. I would love to see more play action, and we finally have the personnel to do it.
By the way, the second play of the game was actually a play action. They just batted it down.
Yeah,
but he had Ballman wide open on the seam, on that seam in the inside.
That as Blue said, that for whatever reason, that connection just was not happening in that game. There were multiple opportunities to hit plays there, and obviously that was just a great play by the UF defender to get up and knock.
It was.
That's what he got to do, but like for whatever reason, that just connection was not going to happen. So
it was at that point I turned the game off. I said, "No tight ends. I'm not going to watch."
Wait a minute, Lofton got 4 targets.
We just discussed it early on. I said, "You know what? I can't do."
He said, "The hell with these people. We're gonna watch Nebraska or something. Get out of here."
Yeah. Go watch Nebraska.
They played well, huh? They played well.
Yeah, they played all right. I mean, it was a tough one, but I mean, I'll be happy when I can spend my Saturday actually enjoying watching college football, not having to worry about Miami or Nebraska, and just actually enjoy the games and not stress out all the time.
Non-UM related, but Miami related, because Fernando Mendoza and that Indiana team.
Yep.
A whooping on it.
That was definitely the eyebrow raising result. Was Indiana blowing Illinois off the field.
Palm Coast Kane. By the way, first of all, Lord Bakington, appreciate it. Like, share, and subscribe. Yes, absolutely. Please do that. Go to the 5 Reasons Sports Network on YouTube and subscribe. Check us out. He did look lost on that one little toss out on that flare out. But
there was just something out of sync there. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they were laughing about in the film room actually, because like, what the
hell's going on here? Palm Coast King. We are going to talk about that in just a second. But right before we get to that, Vish, I want you to kind of some big news came out of the ACC
today.
Competes with the SEC now. We were talking about it when the SEC did it. Here it is. The ACC now has something very similar, Vish. You kind of want to talk us through it a little bit there?
Yeah, so the current ACC schedule is simply just you play eight conference games, and then Notre Dame actually rotates through. I think they get 3 or 4 ACC teams a year, so that's why everyone plays them eventually. So they're changing that. It's now going to be 9 ACC games and a required out-of-conference P4 game, or P3, I guess, because you're obviously not going to play an ACC team at a conference. So you got to get one opponent from the Big 12, SEC, or Big 10, as well as 9 conference games. So they haven't talked about the mechanics of that yet. They're going. It's got to be 4. It was approved by all the athletic directors. Now it has to go to some other committee to finally do it. But it's happening, and that does raise the question of whether we're going to ever see Miami and Florida play again, because, both teams, because Florida already plays as you said, they're going to a 9-game schedule as well. They already play FSU out of conference, so are they really going to play 11? Like Miami, Florida State, 9 SEC games, and then I guess Long Island or whoever gives them their one win of the year. I don't know. And then the other thing is for the Canes, they've already obviously built schedules assuming there's an 8 team model. So just for example, next year they've got at South Carolina and at Notre Dame already on the schedule that's Miami's schedule out of conference. So if you put 9 conference games on top of that, that's 11 of the 12 games. Now, we don't know when this is going to take effect, so it might not be the case that's for next year, in which case they're okay. And then the year after that, it's Utah, if you recall, opening the season in Vegas, and then South Carolina at home. So that's, again, 2 out-of-conference games against power conference schools. And if it's 9 conference games on top of that, again, that's 11 of the 12. So that could be
that's tough.
Well, it's not just tough. It's also problematic from just squeezing all that in, because again, South Carolina now will also have 9 conference games. So
yeah,
how do they? So I have a feeling that series might not happen. I don't know. I'm just making that up because I don't know when this is going to take effect.
Yeah, they haven't set a date yet, right?
No, they haven't. Hasn't been. It's been approved by one board, which is basically the next one's a rubber stamp, and then I think they'll work out logistics. But I mean, I think overall it's a good change because it gives us another conference game. You know, some of these teams in conference you barely, like, when's the last time we played Boston College as an example? Like, it was just like they're in the same conference and you hardly play them. So by going to an extra game, you play teams more often, which is good.
I think 2 years ago, actually, 3 years ago.
3 years ago,
or not 2. I might have 2.
Well,
whatever it is, it's not that frequent.
I was just thinking out loud.
Oh yeah, it was Tyler Van Dyke's last game. He lit up their defense and then hit the portal and went to Wisconsin because they totally weren't tampering. And
also Radakovich did mention in the press conference a couple of weeks ago, that they are trying to move to, play more home games. Obviously, they have 8 home games this year. And then next year, I think they drop down to 6 home games, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, because of what I mentioned, it's out at Notre Dame and at South Carolina, so that's why.
Yeah, they want to be at 7, but this might bump it up. Maybe they do 8 now. I mean,
it's going to be more difficult actually, because this is the other thing. When you go to 9, those are unbalanced. So half the teams are going to have more road conference games than home ones.
True.
And it's inherently, it is what it is. I mean, they do it in the NFL now, right? There's 17 games, so half the teams play more road games than home games every season. Yep. You just live with it, but that actually might hurt his ability to get more home games, because some years you're going to have 5 road conference games, and probably every other year. I don't know how they're going to work the schedule out, but you figure it would rotate. So, when you have 5 out of conference, 5 conference road games, you're not going to. This might be a rarity where you get the 8 home games.
We'll see what happens. That should be interesting. But
I think the other interesting part about this is on the heels of obviously over the summer them changing the way they're sharing revenue. Mm-hmm. This is actually a sign of commitment to the conference. So obviously Florida State and Clemson have been, complaining, trying to get out and all that stuff. And there actually was no legal way for them to do that, but kind of as a halfway ground, the ACC changed the way they do revenue sharing so that now if you do really well, you will get paid as much as the SEC teams do. And now the SEC teams are complaining, why is Mississippi State getting as much money as Alabama? And they're going to maybe go the same thing, in which case the better teams in that conference will then again reopen that gap. But
right.
This is a commitment to the conference because you're committing to playing more games against these opponents and almost strengthening the conference. So, which is an interesting thing when, everyone's written the ACC's obituary like 5 or 6 times in the last few months. This is actually kind of the opposite. It is kind of committing to, we believe in the quality of this football. We want to play more of these games.
I would say the quality of the ACC football has taken a step up this year with some teams really, really showing out, really playing really well. Obviously, FSU playing well. Georgia Tech looks really good. Mm-hmm. You've got some other really tough teams out there.
Well, I mean, it's on us, right? Because I think the ACC. Well, no, because I think the ACC has always, and I don't think gotten enough credit for having a lot of decent, solid, really good teams. Other than Clemson a few times and like FSU once in the last 10 years, it's not been the top team is not there. And that's what people look at. Like, and it's stupid because it doesn't make sense, but they'll see Alabama win and automatically think Mississippi is good. Like, it doesn't make any sense, but that's the way people's interpret it. So the fact that the ACC is not putting teams into the championship discussion is what hurts the brand.
Sure.
Because if you want, like if you think like Virginia is like way worse than Kentucky, no, they're not.
Not a chance.
But it doesn't matter when Georgia's like in the championship game every year. So that's kind of where it's on us. Let's be real. We joined this conference and we have not held up our end of the deal. And the reason it gets crapped on is largely because we have not done our job.
Right.
Let's do our job.
Yes.
Blue.
Well, we're in the process of doing it.
Yes, we are. I agree. Blue, over 100 recruits were at this game. Looks like you got a bunch of blue chippers, right? Over 80 plus blue chippers, 20 plus 5 stars, something along those lines. Big names like Tank Johnson and Tyree Green, Calvin Russell, Nick Lanier, all the big name commits and all the big name potential flips and the Fitzpatricks of the world and so on and so forth. The list goes on and on and on and on. You got to see some of these kids. You obviously get to see some of these kids play on a weekly basis. Got to see some of these kids there at the game as well. What's your take on the effect that this took on potential prospects that haven't committed yet, and also guys that are already committed, guys that are interested in flipping? I mean, there's so many different things going on with with recruiting right now. It might start heating up again. You win a big game against your rival. There's a lot of Florida kids here that like the Gators, like the Canes, like the FSU. Miami made a statement this past weekend. Did it affect a lot of kids? Did it affect any? What was the atmosphere like for some of these recruits?
Atmosphere was great. Atmosphere for Notre Dame was great. All these things, but over time, these kids forget this stuff. They know what they want. They were here last week. Next week they'll be at Alabama, Georgia, and believe me, the atmosphere will just be as electric, a lot more electric, and they'll remember that game. And then they'll be at the Oklahoma and the Texas game, and it goes week to week. The whole thing is what a lot of these kids are after is playing time. They see Malley, they see Moore, they see these freshmen that are in place, guys that they played against, and hey, I could be in that situation next year, and if I'm not, I'll be in the portal. And just these games are really nice to have the kids because it's the here and now. You know that, DJ. I mean, these guys will come to Miami, Florida, have a nice time, see everybody, sit in 44 inches of rain, and and go through the whole thing and watch Michael Irvin, do his thing, and everybody do their thing, and they go home Sunday and they go, "Hey, it was a great time," and by Monday they're on to the next deal, and they're gonna go. I mean, these games are nice, but they're not going to be the total selling point. Chance for them to hang out with the guys. They probably talked with each other and checked out the women more than they did the game. Believe me. I watched them. They were undercover most of the time because of the rain. But the games like this, to answer your question, Jazz, are good, and they're good to have the kids there. And Miami spends a lot of time and effort getting these kids there. Their recruiting department does a tremendous job. Can't say enough about guys like Joe Brown and Frank, Tucker and guys like that who really bust their tail to have relationships with these kids, get them in place to have a nice visit. But I think Miami will get the kids that they got to get. There was a couple of young kids there, 29 kids, 28 kids, that you're going to make an impression, and they're going to go around wearing stuff for the next 2-3 years. But when they start going to different places, it's about what you've done lately. And Miami playing this well only gives these kids an opportunity to say, I'd love to line up with them. But I think the very fact that you're watching these younger kids get, OJ Frederick last year, Moore and Joshua Moore and Malachi Tony getting the playing time as true freshmen this year only gives these young kids that opportunity, but they go elsewhere and they see the same thing. Oh, look here at Georgia, or look here at Florida. That guy's playing. So great time, great crowd. That'll be the last time they'll have this many type of recruits for the year. This 4-game stand was really nice. 3 of those games brought in really good crowds and good, entertainment and stuff. But Friday night, when they come back for Louisville, you aren't going to get those, you get a handful of kids, believe me. Trap game Friday night, high school play NC State. They may get a couple of kids, here. But they've kind of shot their load as far as home game excitement with Notre Dame and Florida, even USF. But it was a good time.
I'll tell you what, Blue, you got to get out of that trap game mentality, man. All right, we got to get you off of that crap already. All right,
that's what's happening this Friday night, Virginia trap game mentality.
Yeah, okay, you can do that for
Miami. Pack their bags looking for.
You can do that for Miami, right?
I've seen it happen too many times, Jazz.
I know. Haven't we all, man? Yeah, I mean, it's as cliche as it sounds.
Yes, I agree with that. Put that back up.
Yeah. The game experience matters. The impression can also.
The impression could be negative for the fact that there might be 5 guys playing the position that you're going to be playing.
Yeah, true.
Look at receiver. Well, they can't even get an All-American like freaking JoJo on the field. So if you're a receiver, you're thinking to yourself, damn.
Yeah, but then Malachi Tony's a true freshman, and he's on the field, so.
Yeah, so he's going to be on there for 3 more seasons.
Yeah,
two more. Well, yeah. Than Sundays.
And Joshua Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not that freshman game was.
You're an offensive lineman. You want to come to Miami.
Yeah.
But
also, some of these kids were looking at Florida, and there was nothing there that was appealing.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but that means that they could get on the field and play.
Yeah, sort of, but play for who and for what coach, and
I don't know.
It didn't look
you
like
you want to be like Hilton, like Drake Stubbs, that says that what did he say, that it's a bad situation in Miami and such a better opportunity in Florida.
Yeah,
since the coach who recruited him is back here in Miami, it's not such a bad decision.
Right.
Yeah, but also he was on some UF show. They kind of baited him into that.
Sure, they did.
Kind of went along with
it. They're going to tell you.
I mean, you got to do but the way if you watch the whole, not to defend him, and the portal's open if he wants to come to a winning program, but not to defend him, but like the way they asked the question basically set him up to say that, and
it's all about context.
I mean, if you watch the clip, like that was not a professionally conducted interview, and they set him up to step on it, and then he did. Because he's, a high school kid at the time. That's just not going to be savvy with the media and not understand he's being.
Fish, you got a good goatee going there. Huh? That's the thing hanging down. No, the thing in front of you.
Oh, this?
Yeah, it looked like a goatee.
I was like,
when it's next to your beard, it looks like buddy.
Oh, man, it does. It is the same color. So there we go. Look at this. Yeah. I can just hang it. I can actually hang it off my beard.
Damn, he's got a good goatee going there.
Hang it right off my beard, and it would. Start a revolution.
You like that, DJ?
I do, yeah.
Yeah, I figured that.
DJ did want to get one of those goatees. He told Vish before the show started. Hey, I like your goatee, man. I gotta use one.
I should get one of those.
What was that? What did that say?
I just did. What are we gonna start rating UM's cover? I just did. Keegan Stubbs is more than welcome to portal his ass down here.
I have had it. It's been a while.
I have not had gator meat now.
I have.
I've had it.
Thoughts?
It's the proverbial taste like chicken stuff, but it's a little gamier, but it's all right.
Yeah, tastes like a W. That's what it tastes like.
There you go.
Before we let you go, real quick. Actually, I got a. Did you get a chance to see?
Just so you all are aware, I produce the show and can ban any of you from this chat.
we love Juan though.
Just don't ban me before show and tell.
There's no way I would ban my guy there.
But that's every right. You guys a hard time back. All right, just remember this shit for later. Anthony Jones, Blue has been a hot name though. Before we get you to your show and tell, because I know it's what everybody wants to see. He's been a hot name for the Canes recently. I know he's committed to Oregon, but he keeps sounding more and more like a flip every day. He's been down here twice recently also. gone to 2 games.
Yeah, I like him.
That's the kind of kid that could continue to just solidify that defensive line, right?
Well, that's a guy you get in there. Now that somebody like him can make a difference, as far as his exposure, because I'm sure they said, hey, this is Mr. Bain, this is Mr. Messidor. Even though they won't be around, this is what you have an opportunity to be like. This is Justin Scott. This kid was an All-American, a 5-star. You could be here and you could be playing alongside what we have, some really, really good defensive ends, and we got a great defensive coordinator who is an aggressive defensive coordinator who's not going to be afraid to use you in different situations. And look how active our defensive line is. Something like that helps out. Like these kids getting a chance to watch a lot of these guys looking at Malachi Tony. Malachi Tony's younger than a lot of those kids, or they're same age. They're in high school, and yet he is an iconic figure to them. I'm sure they picture themselves doing some of the things that he does. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, even like somebody like Carson Beck, a lot of these young quarterbacks, are getting an opportunity to, to see, what a veteran quarterback is like. A guy that'll be in the NFL. He'll get his shot next year. And, it'd be fun to watch a draft from a Miami standpoint next year. I mean, good and bad, because you're going to be losing kids. But you know what? You look at Alabama and Georgia, and they lose 18 guys a year. So
things have changed now in Miami with the recruitment. So I'm not too worried about that. By the way, shout out to Marquise Lightfoot. I think he's going to be special.
He's a freak.
That kid is unbelievable.
He's going to be special.
And the guys like Booker Pickett.
And Blay too, man.
Yeah. Oh, well, Blay, of course. Yeah, but
Getting
I'm talking
some ink in there.
You want to talk about young guys and a great recruiting opportunity for the Canes? Look at Marquise Lightfoot. Look at Booker Pickett. The minute Booker Pickett steps on the field, he gets a sack. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
He's unreal. He just, it's hard to put him on the field right now with so many guys. Malik Bryant doing a great job when he gets on. Herbert Scroggins is going to be another dude. They're pretty loaded up at the defensive end, and I think that anybody that comes in, if you're ready to go, look, obviously poor Hayden Lowe has to sit out the rest of the year with an injury, but he was another kid that was
going to be back.
He was going to play, and he'll play next year, and he's another kid that's going to come in and do some damage, and it's fun to see what they're doing in the trenches, and of course Miami's winning a lot of football games like that.
Wow.
But yeah, shout out to Marquise Lightfoot. That kid's unreal. Blue, the best part of the show, baby. It's show and tell, baby. Talk to me.
Got a good one there for you as soon as Vish gets me in the technology end of things there. All right.
There it is.
This is a 1988 Orange Bowl Classic media guide.
Ooh, look at that. That's nice.
Wow, I love that.
Orange Bowl Classic.
When they played Oklahoma that year.
That was the national championship game.
Yes, sir. There's just so many great, talented guys. Just look at the coaching staff of Butch Davis and Art Keogh and Tony. Oh, man. There's old Juan Stash, old Porn Stash there. He's on there. Let me just see what else. This was a good-ass team.
They won the championship. Yes, they were.
Yeah, Daniel Stubbs. He was really good. I like him.
Is that Daniel Stubbs? Was that Stubbs?
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael Irvin was there. Jimmy Johnson's last game as a coach was that one.
This is that one, Michael. This is October 3rd of that year when Miami beat Florida State 26-25 on Michael Irvin's catch.
Yeah. Yep.
Knocked to the 2-pointer away.
Yeah, that was the 26-25 game at Rod Carter. I'm just going through here. Benny Blaze. This is Selwyn Brown and Rod Carter making a big play against Sammy Smith. I'm sure he fumbled at the end.
He probably did. Fumbling Sammy Smith.
There he is, old Sammy Smith.
I knew there was
good
something
stuff
about him
there to rekindle your memory. Here was the 88. This is okay. Here was the 87 team up top. The records. Can you read that? The games.
Yeah, won everything.
Florida, Arkansas, Florida State, Maryland, Cincinnati, East Carolina, Miami of Ohio, Virginia Tech, Toledo, Notre Dame, and South Carolina in the game.
Perfect. And then the schedule for 88 right there.
Ooh, let me see.
That was the Cleveland Gary.
BYU, Michigan,
game.
Wisconsin, Missouri, Notre Dame, Cincinnati, FSU, Tulsa, East Carolina, and I can't see the bottom. To Tulsa, East Carolina, LSU, and Arkansas.
Good ones. That
A lot of teams there, but we were it was a different time, obviously. But
the only game they lost out of all the ones we just read out was the bullshit fumble call against Notre Dame on the road.
Yes,
88. Everything else was a win.
Everything else was a win. That was a great time to be a Hurricane fan in there, and they're rekindling things now. Everybody enjoying it the other day. Very good atmosphere.
Have fun.
The press box even brought more food out than they ever brought out. Was
this the one that there was a big brawl? The South Carolina game?
That was that Thursday night game, I believe, or Saturday night.
There was definitely a big fight against South Carolina, I think.
Yeah. I remember that big sign that South Carolina kept putting in. It says, "You can't beat our cocks." That was the
That was awesome. That's great.
Yeah, I think Todd Ellis was the quarterback for South Carolina back then.
Good time. That's when the Kings get in the fight. Yep, that's it.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah,
you know it.
Yeah.
What a show! We got a big one next week, though. As
for sure, it's the big one.
We preview the Miami FSU game, which game time has already been set today. It's a 7:30 p.m. game on ABC. Whether it'll be College Game Day for the second time this year, who knows? We'll see. I know
DJ and I are confident. We looked at the schedule yesterday, and there is nothing. There's nothing even close.
Game Day in Tallahassee, then.
I think even if Blue is right, even if FSU loses to Virginia, I still think they'll be there because there's not really there was nothing worthy.
Schedule kind of.
No, it's actually important.
I thought Big Ten had a game that day.
No, nothing
big. Big 12, whatever they call it. Big Ten.
I mean, it's going to be the number 2 team in the country against, at worst, like a top 15 team.
Right.
That's going to get.
Still be a good big game.
Yeah, it's a rivalry game.
Yeah.
And they get to do it on campus and don't have to do it off campus. So.
Yeah.
Right at the stadium.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Good for them.
Yeah.
Or they could do it at the mall where Florida State got those free shoes. Either one.
Tribute.
I love it.
Gotta pay tribute. The only other game between 2 ranked teams is Alabama hosting Vanderbilt that day.
Oh, hey, come on.
Hey, Vandy did beat them last year, right?
Actually, his mom will be there.
So yeah, I'm pretty confident they'll be in Tallahassee even if Florida State loses.
Damn, how about that? They don't have a pool like Miami does.
Nope, they won't be diving in. He won't. Pat McAfee won't be diving in there. Vish will be at the game, so that'll be.
Yes, you're going to that game?
Yep.
That's right. You go to all those games.
Well, I'm this year. I am going to all the games. I normally don't go to all the games.
He's going to be the guest picker, Blue.
Yeah. Hey, they told me not to say. Now they're not going to let me do it. I'm blaming you. I was about to do it.
Yeah, my bad.
In confidence, I told you. And now ESPN told me if it gets out, they're going to have to pick someone else. And now look.
I forgot people watch this show. Damn it.
I'll give you an early guest picker. Lee Corso.
Yeah.
That would be.
That would be
cool.
Fitting.
That would be
FSU
cool,
guy.
Yeah,
FSU guy. Yeah, that would be an amazing guest picker.
I'd love to see Coach come.
He was a Miami guy first. All right, Jackson Senior High School. He was a Jackson General, so he's a Miami guy. No, but yeah, he's the FSU guy. So that'll be cool.
All right, we'll go claim him.
All right, fellas, good job. Make sure you check us out. As I said earlier in the show, subscribe to the 5 Reasons Sports Network on YouTube and check us out. It's the 6 Rings Canes and the 5 Reasons Canes podcast. Check us out on Twitter at 6 Rings Canes or X, or you can find us wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else that you get your podcasts. Make sure you check us out every Monday at 8:30 p.m. right here. I hope you guys have a great bye week and get ready for next week as it is FSU week. And I don't know, we'll work on some special stuff potentially for that one because they deserve it more than doing it for the Gators. So anyways, we'll see you guys next week, but we've got buckets. We've got a whole bunch of stuff this week still.
Yeah, buckets Wednesday. I think we're going to have another player on. So
if you missed it, we had Gal on finally. So make sure.
Yes, we had Gal on. I think we've got another another player from the women's team on Wednesday. We're confirming that, but it looks like it's happening. So
very cool. Very cool. Baseball's going to start to heat up very soon. Their first fall scrimmage is actually October 18th against FAU. So maybe Vish will get together and do something before that game, and be out there and watch them play a little bit on the 18th also. So make sure you check us out, and we will see you guys next Monday. Adios. Go Canes.
Go Canes.
The 6 Rig Kane Show. The 6 Rig Kane Show. The 6 Rings Kane Show. You know.